While there is a world trend on the inclusion of persons with disability in this complex society, the rights of a disabled person in developing countries, particularly in India, are almost non existent, where the rights of a girl or a woman are also vulnerable. Women and girls with disability thus face twice the discrimination. Shanta Memorial Rehabilitation Center, a credible disabled persons organization (DPO) based in Orissa, India, along with Development Research Institute presents e-courses to increase knowledge on gender issues focusing on gender-based violence against women with disabilities, living independently and inclusion in the society from a human rights perspective. This web based course is titled Insidious Violence and Women with Disabilities. This academic endeavor was designed keeping in mind the COVID 19 restrictions and the shift of focus from classroom lectures to a virtual learning environment.
So, good morning to everybody. Uh, Welcome back to our session again. We are halfway through the course now. I mean, 3 more days remaining. Today's session, we have two speakers, but to introduce them, we have our moderator for today, Ms. Jija Ghosh. And I think Jija doesn't need an introduction. She's one of the leading activists for disability sector in India. And she has studied in, she was my senior in college, Presidency College, Kolkata. Then she studied in Delhi and she went abroad for a degree also. And she has about more than 25 years of experience of working on disability issues, and her personal experience of disability along with her work gives her a very vast range of experience in this kind of work. So welcome Jijadi, I hand it over to you to introduce the speakers and carry the session forward.
Thank you, Nandini, for that lovely introduction. And good morning to all of you. Today I have the honor to introduce Sandal Lima, who is also a friend and a colleague. Sanda works as an associate professor in the Center for Disability Studies and Action. Social work, full of social work, Tata Institute of Social Sciences in Mumbai. He had a PhD degree from this and an Emeritus Mundus Fellow, Freddie University of Germany, and Fulbright Fellow from University of Buffalo, USA. I invite Sandra to take over the floor. Welcome, Sandra.
The speaker of this web course is Associate Professor Sandhya Limay, Center for Disability Studies in Action, School of Social Work, Mumbai, India, speaking on Practice of Intervention for WWD Practitioners Experience.
Good morning to everybody before starting this one, and nice to meet all of you. truly Webley, this one. When I'm looking at a woman studies, deaf studies, disability studies, it was found that all of them are talking about mostly theoretical point of view. As a social worker, I'm a basically social worker, university faculty also, but as a basic social worker, we wanted to know how to implement the action. Maybe based on the policy, maybe based on the question, whatever it is there. And therefore, when I started to study, it was found that we don't have much documentation on practice. When you talk about the practice of intervention, maybe any more problem, whatever it is there, where is the documentation on that? Simple example of that. TICMA. Everybody, academic scholar talked about TICMA. How TICMA created the problem for people with disability, women with disability, and how social model or how society is responsible for the TICMA. Okay, I understand. But how to deal with TICMA? We don't get kind. And if you look at the practitioners in India, I'm not talking about the Western context. They have a well documented, but I'm talking about in Indian context. Practitioners can be social worker, psychologist, or any person working in the woman with disability. How they deal with stigma, we don't have that document. Each one has a type, each one has a way. We must know what is the documentation, and it is not available. And therefore, I strongly feel that we should focus also on practice of intervention and how we can document for the kindness of other professionals. So when you talk about the stigma, you say that stigma affected this word, stigma create label, stigma create discrimination. The most $1 million question is what is the stigma? Many of us do not know that there are different types of the stigma. They may not know that there is a multi-layered level of stigma and how to deal with the stigma. For example, I'm a label as the mute. How to explain the public that I'm not a mute, yet they can. You can use advertisement, or you can use the video, or you can then write academic writing that the deaf are not mute. But in practical, in daily activity, how you are going to explain the public that I'm not a mute? It becomes difficult. It becomes difficult to convey the public. And sometimes we have a question, why should we waste our time on explaining the public? So this is the question about this one. How to deal with the public? We don't have that clear guidance, this one. Because it depends on the caste, class, culture, urban or rural, personality of the woman with disability, family dynamic, kind of the support available. We have not taken consideration about that. We only write in academy that yes, all these are important variables. But when you look at the all variables, practice becomes different. Practice vary from person to person. And there is no well documentation on this one. And therefore, I strongly feel that, and therefore I started to write on that practice of intervention, that what are the actually problems that women with disability face. When you talk about the violence, only people thought that you are a sexual abuse. Why? Why violence is linked with the sexual abuse? Why not we talk about the violence is related to the right? Violence is related to the discrimination. Violence is related to the verbal abuse. Many of us did not know much about that. And therefore, you talk about the violence, they think about the sexual abuse. So this is also another issue that we have to consider this one. And what are the different ways of the violence? What are the range of the violence? And how we deal with that violence? That's not documented. That is what I'm trying to explain from practitioner point of view. Basically, I'm a university professor, academic, but at the same time, I'm also a practitioner. I'm going to discuss this further based on my experience working in the women with disability, children with disability, or people with disability, different stakeholders for the last 35 years. I have a paid action project, that is the ICBR, Inclusive Community-Based Rehabilitation. And I work with Mumbai slum area. Because when you talk about all NGOs or all women's group or people, they are working in the main theater area. Who will work with the slum area? This slum area is a migrated population. आज है कल नहीं. So today you are there, tomorrow you are migrated to somewhere else. And therefore, the question is about the poverty. And therefore, they don't get empathize on the rehabilitation or empowerment of women with disability. So I started the project in the slum area. Besides, I don't have any NGO. I'm not running NGO because full-time university academy is very tough job. I cannot run other NGOs. This field action project, with the help of the students, I work with the people with disability, including women with disability. Besides, I also take my students to the different rural part of the country at a rural practicum and then work with the people with disability. Based on the last 35 years, so I'm trying to explain about the practice of intervention, and I'm not talking about the factor influencing. Everybody knows what is the factor, what are the factors. So I am not repeating these factors. I just wanted to focus on the practice of intervention based on issue this one. And so I'm giving just example of this word. I'm not describing everything, but you will get some ideas about that this one. When you talk about the health, I'm not talking about the reproductive health, sexual health, or what is that about the, what is the meaning of the sexual reproductive health, how we give education to the woman with disability. Simple example of that malnutrition cycle. What is the meaning of the malnutrition cycle? Many of the women with disability are not aware. Even women with visual impairment, how they come to know whether they got a period or month year. So it is difficult for them to understand the difference between the period, month years, and white discharge. So how we help this? We are confused because we don't know the answer. If there is a documented or if we discuss, then everybody will come to know. That is the major gap in the disability studies about that this one. What about the older women with disabilities and health issue? I've seen that in the semi-urban area, I'm sharing my experience of this one. And when I was working in the rural area and semi-urban area, suddenly I came to know that one woman with disability got paralysis attack. And husband is also visually impaired. He did not understand what happened to his wife. So he called me to find out why his wife is not able to move. He wondered whether she is no more or what. So we went there and we found that she got paralysis. That we called the doctor. Poor, both of them are beggars. They travel train every day from semi-urban to Mumbai. They collect the money from the public so that they can survive with that money because nobody gives job to them. And because of health problem, where to get money? So we also use our own money. And then sometimes we also ask the Rotary Club to help them with what exercise is required. So in that case, how to help women with disability who got paralysis attack? Who will provide the food? Who will do physiotherapy? So what we have done this what we mobilize other women with visual impairment, and then we train them, and that how to do some part of physiotherapy, so that they can help the affected woman with visual impairment, and they started to practice for other people. So this small issue will never look at this point. So daily activities, problem, difficulty faced by them in everyday life, it is not a record, it is not documented, and therefore it is a concern for me that what about the health issue? Another example is that deaf woman, she got a heart problem. She did not know that she got a heart problem. She was wondering what happened, why she find breathing. She thought she maybe got asthma or something like that. And doctors and others are not able to explain what is the meaning of the heart. And she come from rural area. So she is the confused. So the question is about that. I'm not talking about the accessibility or affordability. We always talk in the book or in the academic writing. But when I'm talking about in the practical way, how to make this, that is the $1 million question. And therefore, I have to draw the picture. I have to explain that you have this, there is a problem. She did not understand. Language problem is also there. There is no uniformity of time language in India. Communication pattern varies from woman to woman, maybe from one area of city to another area of city. And therefore it is very difficult to explain. So finally we gave up because we have also limitation for that. So we explained that, okay, you got to the problem and you have to take care. So she understood that she got a problem, and that is the issue. But that question was that when we talk about the accessibility, why we are not able to achieve this accessibility issue as a professional one, as a practitioner one. So it is a lot of limitation that we face. And another example of it, that domestic violence. Domestic violence also, I told you, vary from verbal abuse to beating to sexual assault to rape, whatever it is there. And it was found that mostly in the rural area and slum area. And that it was found that women with disability get more trouble from other women without disability. And therefore, when I started to ask the question, why? You are also woman, I'm also woman. Why should we trouble to other women? You know what I got answer? Other women without disability inform me that they had also trouble with other women. They also get trouble with other men, and they want to ventilate their anger towards someone. And therefore, women with disability becomes more vulnerable, and women without disability got opportunity to ventilate their anger towards the woman with disability. So, women with disability get trouble from woman without disability, man without disability, and man with disability. Mostly man with disability get too much trouble to women with disability to prove their masculinity. Because I asked them, they told that, madam, if we did not give trouble, society question about our own masculinity. They use it in the word, हमारा मर्द, हम मर्द है. That is the typical word they use. So they are concerned about the society's image of masculinity. And they wanted to prove the society that yes, in spite of the disability, we have a masculinity. And the experiment is on women with disability. So you can imagine how many sources come for the violence. Now, under that situation, as a practitioner, what I'm supposed to do? You can't change the society. You can't change their mindset. You can't change the patriarchal system. It's very difficult. If I decided to change, I require the thousand rebirth. It is impossible. So what I decided, it is better to focus on the woman with disability to find the way. Okay, you understood that who are giving trouble to you. Find out the way to avoid them or argue with them or take somebody's help to protect yourself and work, find out the other way to engage yourself in some activity. However, practically it is difficult. If mostly they come from slum area and rural area, family is very important influencing factor and they may not allow women with disability to be independent because it challenges their supreme, their power, their control, and therefore they strongly refuse. So within that restriction, how we will work and why there is no documentation. Another example is that I heard from somebody else, Asha was telling me this one, that four girls with hearing impairment got raped and the male professional wanted to talk to them. So when you talk about the interview of the deaf woman, how deaf woman will give or share with their issue with the man, they lost the trust on the man. Because who would rape? Men. Who dominate? Men. Who bully? Men. How do you expect the woman to trust on the man? Okay, I'm very good male professional. I want to help you. But that does not mean they will share with me. And therefore, it is very important for her to understand how to develop the strategy. So what I did is, it's very difficult for me to work with the sexually abused woman and girl. It's very difficult for me. Even now, I don't think I'm expert to work with that. And second one, I'm not a radical social worker. Baba, I'm challenging this one or I'm going to the court. This is not my area. I can contact to other people who help women with disability to go to the court for legal issue, but I'm not. My job is that to do commentary, how to deal with the crisis, how to come out of this one. So I'm focusing more on at individual and family level. So what I did that time when it happened in the rural area that girls were, we gave the play therapy. That play therapy, we can act to do anything. So at the beginning, it was difficult for her to use the play therapy because she did not know what is the meaning of play therapy, what is the use of the mud, that is the clay. Later on, I show how to do and I kept. She was observing. And then later on, she started to play with the clay. And slowly, her anger, her fear divert into the clay for me. She was making the picture of that clay, showing that I'm angry, I'm getting difficulty, what I'm supposed to do that. So based on this play therapy, I got some idea how difficult for her to ventilate her feeling and move further. So from next day, I started to give more and more play therapy, different play therapy, and then help her to move further and further. And then that she is able to move, but the scar, it remains same. She will never forget. And I don't have answer how to do this one. So I approached a counselor to help her. But the problem is that counselor did not know how to work with the diverse disability group, especially deaf women. There is a communication problem. They don't know how to do counseling, and they say, sorry, we don't know. Please, will you help us? So this is another issue that, so I'm not explaining it, I'm giving the example of this one, that right, self-concept. Now self-concept is another important area. Young women with disabilities ask me so many questions. Why we become a disabled? Why society labels us as useless? Why we are getting trouble? Why we become unproductive member of the society? We are useless. We are nothing. So why should we survive? Why should we work hard? So this irrational belief create undesirable consequence of behavior. And therefore, I started group counseling using rational emotive therapy. That is a part of that's a type of therapy. I'm not an expert, but I can deal with that. I had group counseling. I discuss with them. Okay, are you aware that why you become a disabled? Discuss with them. Causes of disability. And that we explain that there are many people who have a shortcoming. However, they are not telling with each other. Second one, there are various ways to move out. You cannot talk society. You cannot ask society to shut up. Go to the hill. You cannot say society. It is very easy to say that ignore. You cannot ignore. But the point is that why should we allow people to affect us? What? At what cost? And therefore, how we are going to move? And that is why it is important to develop positive self-concept. And it is very, very difficult task that talking about the self-concept. And I also wrote based on the self-concept therapy in the book journal on advanced counseling in 2004. And that I mentioned it's very clear about that how we work with the young people with ear impairment. And therefore that because it is the ignore area, nobody talks about the identity of the woman with disability. And therefore I strongly feel that we should pay attention and have a documentation of the practice of intervention. Not another one is the marriage and marital. Everybody talks about the marriage and marry with somebody. It is okay. Now, Telangana or Andhra or Odisha, government declare that they will give incentive or some money to the woman with disability or man without disability who marry woman with disability. What is this? It is a charity or this is a carrot to show amount money? But I don't understand what is the point of that. Second one, right now, till now, I don't have any evidence about the impact of the incentive on the life of the woman with disability. Are the marriage successful? Is she free from violence? Is she happy? Men without disabilities are able to addiction with women with disabilities. There are so many questions come, and I don't have that evidence or research base. So this is important for all of us to know how government initiative can help this, because we talk about the empowerment, but it is not empowerment. This is make it dependent on the man without disability. So that is another question come up with regarding the marital issue. It is found that many people with disability get trouble in marital relationship. They never get idea about what is the meaning of the marital relationship, how to make marital adjustment, what are the society expectations, and when they got married, they feel that they are getting trouble. I'm not saying that only one is responsible. Both are responsible. Both of them are not serious about the marital relationship, and the problem can occur. I've seen an example of this one deaf couple. The girl is from Mangalore, typical Orthodox family, married to Punjabi boy who is the so-called broad-minded forward family. After 1 year, they got so much trouble. He drinks a lot because he has a lot of money, and that he beat her. Too much violence happened at home. Finally, the girl's parent contacted me and my friend who is a marriage counselor in family court. We both went and that we discussed. It was found that the boy got free license from his own brother. We are male, we are Punjabi male. Woman is our private property. We can do what we want. And therefore, the deaf man said that yes, I have a right to do what I want. And he always blame his wife that she had the problem, she had the problem, she had to attend the counseling. I'm not going to attend the counseling. So it became difficult for her to work with them. So we had a meeting with the family, both families. We also discussed this one. And it was found that the boy's family did not want to make any settlement. They were very smart. They have a money and they have a lot of connection with the political party. So I said, okay, I had no problem. I am only concerned about their marital life. That is nothing to me. But later on, I realized that they reduce the intensity of violence. But I realized that they will not talk. So we change our focus. We explain the deaf woman that what is her right. She can go to the court. She can go to the police. And I gave the address of the family court also. And then I told that you can go find out this one, or you can contact one of the family and marriage counselor. You will get help. And that second one is that I also told that you can ask, if you have divorce, you can also get money from him. You have also right. This one. And she did not know what is the right for her. So she started to collect the information. She discussed with me what is the right that woman has. And then her husband was panicked. He was telling his brother then how come that she knows everything about right? What will happen to me? So his brother said, don't worry. And then his brother asked me, how dare you ask the deaf woman about the right? So I told that at the human right approach, we have a right to share with each other, and anybody can do. After that, what happened? His brother forced the Kirk family to withdraw the case. And then the family told me, thank you, madam. Now there is no problem. We are happy. We don't want your counseling. Okay, we can't force. We know the fact, but we can't put. So what I'm trying to do, we have a limitation. So when I read the Takte story, sometimes the question came in my mind. What is the Takte story? Maybe certain area, you are a Takte. Certain area, there is a failure or a difficulty. But nobody talks about the difficulties or failure. So who will work on that? So what I'm trying to tell you that my only question about that woman with disability is that what is the practice of intervention that each one follow? What are the variations in that practice of intervention? We don't have the documentation. In TIA, there is the 7-8 cases documentation in child kindness clinic. They write everything process recording. How they start to work with the children when they have a problem on the day 1, day 2, day 3. And then finally, what happened? It really helped us that how they started to practice. We don't have that practice. Each NGO, each individual, each professional, or each one who is interested to work with the woman with disability has a different way of the practice, and there is no region documentation on this. So maybe some of you will focus on practice of intervention, because a lot of us talk about the theoretical perspective. And as a faculty, I also use the theoretical framework, ecosystem theory, crisis intervention theory, rational emotive therapy, or trained perspective, and how we utilize this one. But it was found that the practitioners avoid theoretical framework. They are not comfortable with theory to practice, and they don't want to discuss on the theory. Second one, when I discuss about that documentation, they are not comfortable because they don't want to question that what is right, what is wrong. It is not a question of the right or wrong. It is a question of the how you practice this one. But it is not happening. So I'm giving an example of this one. amount that we want. That parent issue, also example of the parent issue. Whether he should be parent or not, that is another question. But once you have a baby, how to help the baby to rise? Maybe there are many people who can tell that when their parents are deaf or disabled, this one. I remember that one day parent came to meet me and they told that there is a parent teacher meeting in the school. Can you come with me to help? Because their daughter is eerie, but both are deaf. So I said, okay. So I went to the parent teachers meeting. And the teacher was surprised to see me, but she was happy that at least she can communicate with me. And then she told me, and I told the parents. So the small issue, or another example is that when children become the young, that is around 10 years, 12 years, that children face stigma. Oh, आपका पिताजी का तकलीफ है, or your father is deaf, or your parents are visual impairment, or your parents are locomotor disability, and they made fun of the children. And children may not know how to deal with the stigma. And that we also started to work with the children having parent with disability. So this is also another area. So sometimes I'm wondering what I started to work. Now I move to people with disability, women with disability, that a sibling having brother or sister with disability, now children having parent with disability. So it becomes a wide range for the last 35 years. And many children who have a parent with disability play the role of parentification. That also affects their personality. So we also started counseling for the children how to move further. They have a lot of issue and they suppress their feeling, and therefore it is important for to understand how to deal with that. Okay, now we have only 5 minutes to wrap up this. I'm not explaining one again. So I'm giving an example of the practice of intervention. If there is a documentation, all of us will get clear picture how to work, because caste, class, culture, urban, rural, personality of the woman with disability, family dynamic, family type, structure, are the factors that vary of the practice of intervention. And therefore, it is very important for all of us to understand documentation. And maybe, I don't know, maybe Asha or Nandini that who started the e-course on women with disability, all these are violent. So maybe you can have a documentation of the practice of intervention. That will be better. So can we move the next one? So that is the practice. So I'm not repeating this one again because I already explained this one, how I work based on the various issues. So all these one come up. Mostly outreach program, outreach program always done by me, because in that Mumbai slum area, when I have a production project with the help of the student, I make the door-to-door survey. I talk community leader. I find the woman with disability and talk to them, find out what are their current situation, and then explain the purpose of our visit, offer our whatever possible. We are not giving 101% promise. We just offer the help. We also explain the limitation. And then we started to work. The outreach program in that you cannot come to meet me, I will come to meet you. That is the change of the philosophy. And you know, at the beginning, women with disability get tension. But later on, they feel more comfortable. They like the idea that somebody is coming to ask me, and they feel that yes, they have their value. We value them. And that assurance is important to them. And when I went there, I said, hi, hello, how are you? Because they are always get tension. What question you will ask to me? They don't ask the question. We say, wow, how are you? Very nice, daddy. Very nice house. I like the way you look beautiful. You smile so nicely. Like this one, we give some simple. And every day we make a round with it with a hi, hello, this one. After 1 week, 2 weeks, they come to talk to us. Madam, please, we would like to talk to you. And some are talk quickly, whereas some take too much time. They share with each other. And then they can come. And based on this one, we can develop the support group. But in the slum area, it is very difficult to form a support group because of their political issue. We try women without disability and women with disability to make a support group or self-help group. But it was found that women without disability dominated the group. They bully the women with disability, and therefore it becomes difficult. Second one, they are not sensible about their own issue. Another important observation that when I try to form support group of the women with diverse disability, it was found that many of them did not know much about the other type of disability. For example, if I am the woman with visual impairment, I may not know what is the problem faced by a deaf woman or locomotor disabled woman or any other woman with different any other disability. I don't know because each human feel that her disability is more important than other disability, and that is why it is a paid need that we have to give training of understanding disability to all women with disability. So they will help each other. That is the most important. So I'm not reading all these words, but I'm just focusing on that why I'm talking about this. Understanding disability is very important. And then specific training to implement the policy. A lot of policy programs are there, how to implement. So we have to talk what documentation you require. Everything you have to write in detail so that they will come to know. They are scared to go. They say, Bapre, I'm not going, it is better not to go. It happens. So overall, my only concern is about the practice of intervention. There are many more. This is what I mentioned of the technique or practice of intervention based on my own study. There are many more. There are also many more. And I really don't know. And I feel that I must know to help the woman with disability. And therefore, thanks to the organizer to give opportunity to me to talk about the practice of intervention and to make this ignore area into the line. Thanks a lot. So can I read the question or what?
Yeah, there are two questions, I think, or three questions.
Yeah. Deepchika is asking that, according to you, what can be the basic reason for the stereotype which has been prevalent enough in society for so long? So, stereotype or stigma. If you look at the stories of Ramayana, Mahabharata, a folk story, and how we were brought up to hear the story. For example, of this one, Ramayana. How Ramayana occurred because of Manthara. I don't know how many of you know Manthara. Manthara is the physically, Manthara was a physically disabled woman. And she told Kaikai not to give throne to Rama. And therefore Ramayana occurred. So how society blame women with disability? That disability is portrayed as the creative problematic for the entire society. It is curse, what it is. So how we were brought up in childhood through folk story. Second one is that through socialization process. When we were small, how our parents react toward the people with disability. For example, leprosy. Those who are people, that is the people who are leprosy, and they sit on the road and beg. How our parents react. Their reaction also shape our thought and belief. Third one, when we are in the school, find out your school textbook. How many of us have a positive image of people with disability? There is not. They talked about the negativity portrait of the people with disability. Fourth one, when we play with each other, we share with each other. Everybody's contribute the story by Putti, by Adi, Matala, Paiti and everything. Oh, you know, this is the quote. And the fifth one is a film and movie. How they portrayed. The best example, I hate one best example is that if the hero as the woman with visual impairment, as a sitter, one woman with visual impairment, and she is a sitter of the hero, you can see heavy rain, and woman with visual impairment is walking, and there are 4 men following her. Why we are getting the image that she will get raped? But this is the picture of the influence our perception. So these are basic reasons on how we were brought up with this idea, and it becomes difficult for us to change our perception. And therefore, I have a program in the school, 7th standard, from 7th standard onward. Can we train it to the disability, discuss what is the different type of the disability, and what are the myths and misconceptions, and how to clarify their doubt. We started to work with that. It became very difficult to remove this one unless the media cooperate this one. The another one is that Mishra is asking the question, how can we do away with the stigma? We cannot do away with the stigma. We have to learn how to live with the stigma, how to live with the stigma. Only then, if we are mentally prepared how to deal with stigma, it will not affect you. For example of this one, if I am labeled as the mute because I am a deaf, what I am supposed to do that? I should cry, I should get angry, I should fight with them. At the beginning, I was upset. But later on, I realized, why should I waste my time? I have so many important work in my life, forget this one. So what I am doing is, I check mine. Sometimes depends on the person. I ask the question, what makes you to think? Let them justify, and then we can explain. So it is very difficult. Stigma will never go. You have to learn how to deal with that. I hope that I explain you. I don't know whether you are happy with that or not, my answer. But this is my own experience. And I explain to my student also, because I have many students who have the visual impairment, learning disability, psychosocial disability, ear impairment, personality disorder. I have so many students in TI there, and we also work with them. I also used to tell them that stigma is there. If you want, I will help you, or just help. Tell them that I have this problem because of my disability. How can you help me? Tell me. That help the people to reduce the stigma. For example, our ear impairment. I cannot understand what you are talking. Okay, how will you help me? Tell me. You find the way. I'm not giving the idea to you. You have to find the way. And that is the best way to reduce the stigma. And that another question is that Kalyani is asking that in case of the woman with deaf blindness, how can we make them aware about this issue and support them to express themselves? 1 minute. To express themselves on it. As they do not know what is the right and the wrong, and not aware about things that happen around, especially in case of family support. The major issue is that majority of them are not aware of that. That is why I use the word potential of the abuse or violence. This one. That I am a victim of the violence, I'm not aware of that because I'm not brought up to think about that. Mostly women with disability, they don't allow to think independently. They were brainwashed by the family. What we say is always right for you. So they are not aware that they are a potential victim of that abuse or problem. What is right, what is wrong. And that is a major issue. The point is that you can have a group counseling or you can have a group session for the woman with blindness. Invite the role model because role model is the plays an important role than the professional one. I'm always there, but I always invite the role model. And we both of us work for the woman with any kind of the disability, this one. And then we discuss point to point, and then the come this one. Because what is the awareness is the training thing. And through role model. Otherwise, they feel that आपको क्या तकलीफ है बोलने में? You talk, you came, you talk, and you walk. That would not impact their life or that would not challenge their belief. So it is better to invite the role model, let them discuss. And group counseling or group session is more important than individualism. And I always focus on the group counseling, this one. I have a session of the 5 to 10, depends on the 5 to 10 women with disability, and have a 5 to 10 session. Every week we take 1 hour, discuss the issue. And slowly they are started to think about their own, what is right, what is wrong, what they are supposed to do. And then many questions come up. Then we encourage them to form a therapy group. So that is the process of this one. And it takes too much time. Some may move, some may not move. So that is work. Kanyani, I hope I am able to answer your query. Because
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That Deepshika said that thanks for the information. Okay. Thanks a lot. Mishra said that positivity with the stigma will change perspective. Yes. Yes. But now it also depends on your attitude also. As a woman with disability, what is my own attitude towards the stigma? I should be positive of that. If I'm a positive with that, I will able to change the others. But remember, I am not the only person who will change the stigma. I will encourage you to take action. And mostly now, if you look at the report, society is responsible for the stigma, society is responsible, government is responsible, government should take responsibility. Or why we are asking government and society to take responsibility? What will you do? Simple, encourage them. Oh, you are the great, I have this problem. Can you give me the idea? Let them think. It is not like that you are not capable. You are capable, but let them think. It really changed. And if they started to change their perspective, it gives more confidence to them. Yes, I am able to change their perception. That is the important part of this one. And that, okay, I think there is no more question. Any more question? Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Thank you, Chanda. And that was a very enlightening session. Thanks a lot.